Before you start a hedge fund, you'll need to know and understand the various setup structures that are available. In this video, I'm going to explain those structures and how it can benefit you. Let's get started. Hey, it's Frank Nagy and welcome to my channel where we help entrepreneurs grow their business in the financial markets. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, click on that button, and if you like it, click on that like. Typically, all types of structured entities provide a degree of liability, tax benefits, and control. Let's first look at the most popular U.S. structures for managing a hedge fund: the Limited Liability Company, or LLC, and the Limited Partnership, LP. Both the LLC and the Limited Partnership have one thing in common: limited liability. Liability of particular importance when the fund manager member is directly involved with the day-to-day management of the company. With an LLC, liability can be increased or decreased by determining who's running the company. Investors are considered members of an LLC, while an investment manager is hired to manage it. Managers take on the greatest liability since they are involved with the day-to-day management of the company. In a limited partnership, the limited partners have minimal liability to the extent of their involvement in the management. Limited partners are not supposed to be involved with the management of the fund, so it's the general partner's responsibility to operate the partnership. Since the general partner is directly involved with managing the fund partnership, liability falls on him. When it comes to taxes, unlike corporations which pay its taxes on earned income, a limited partnership and an LLC both have pass-through income or loss features. Every partner or member at the end of the year receives a K-1 form from his or her respective general partner or manager stating the total earnings minus total expenses and their pro rata share of distribution of the fund. Each partner or member then reports his distributional loss on Schedule E form in his yearly 1040 tax return. Now let's look at an offshore fund structure. The first question I always ask my hedge fund clients is, where will your investors come from? If they're coming from the United States, then it makes practical sense to set up a fund in the US. If the investors are coming from outside the US, it's best to structure the fund in a tax-free offshore jurisdiction such as the British Virgin Islands or BVI. The majority of the BVI funds are professional funds by law. To qualify as a professional fund, the shares may only be available to investors who are considered professional or accredited investors with a minimum investment amount of no less than $100,000 US. The fund sponsors would also be required to have an administrator, an auditor, which is optional but highly recommended, a custodian bank, and at least 2 directors. Now let's combine both structures. U.S. offshore funds are typically structured in 2 ways: side-by-side or a master feeder structure. In a side-by-side structure, U.S. investors typically invest in a limited partnership organized in the United States, and offshore investors invest in an offshore corporation. Each fund is independently operated by the fund manager, who trades with 2 separate trading accounts. With the master feeder structure, investors residing in the United States can invest in the U.S. feeder fund, which then subscribes to the master fund located offshore. Investors residing offshore would invest directly with the offshore feeder fund, which then subscribes to the master fund located offshore, typically would be in the BVI. All trades are conducted at the master fund level and then reported to the separate feeder funds respectively. Hiring an experienced hedge fund consultant like Frank Nagy Financial Services will greatly reduce the burden of setting up your hedge fund. A good consultant will make the appropriate introductions with the proper service providers that will best suit your hedge fund needs. If you're thinking about starting a hedge fund, I recommend my book, The Ultimate Hedge Fund Guide. You can click on the link below to find out more about how to obtain it. If you're new to my channel, then click on that subscribe button so you can get updates when I post my next video.